going to give you the top 10 in no specific order CIA operations that have been declassified. You can go look up every one of these declassified documents. Number 1, MK Ultra, the 1950s all the way up into the 1970s, involving dozens of universities, psychiatric institutions, naval hospitals, mind control operations throughout the world, not just North America. Operation Mockingbird, to control the press, hundreds of journalists across the world bought off by the CIA to ensure that the journalists say what they're supposed to say. This is from the 1940s all the way into the 1970s. Operation Chaos, all the way from the 60s into the 70s, and this was the CIA's operation to spy on all of the protesters in terms of the Vietnam War. And this involved profiling, this involved checking in on people, surveilling them, perhaps harassing them. The next would be Operation Paperclip. You've probably heard of this, but this is the bringing in of the tiny mustache man followers into the West and utilizing their scientific knowledge for the post-World War II intelligence networks. We have Operation Condor, which was Latin South America. Again, this is Argentina, Brazil, and this is the CIA's operation to train assassins, killers, you name it. And actually Pope Francis, who was at that time a Jesuit cardinal, Pope Francis was Archbishop Bergoglio at the time, helped participate and support the CIA in that operation. We also have Operation Stargate. This is the 1970s into the early to mid 90s, and this involved studying the occult, studying mind control, things like the Gateway process, if you haven't looked that one up. This was done through the Stanford Research Institute, and it was remote viewing and trying to tap into esoteric and occult powers. Project Stargate. Operation Gladio from the 40s into the 90s. This is the NATO CIA stay-behind units that also connected into the Vatican Bank and a lot of money laundering operations. Operation Gladio was, using and funneling DRUG money into these operations. The Phoenix program, this is an infamous William Colby CIA operation to utilize and create TERROR through the use of serial KILLERS. Operation Midnight Climax from the 1950s into 60s was, as we mentioned in one of my previous videos, the CIA use of ladies of the evening and dosing Johns with high-powered, potent LS, fourth letter of the alphabet. These are just a sampling of the wild and insane operations that have been declassified. But you even have crazy things like Ed Lansdale of the CIA planning to utilize a staged second coming of Christ. They didn't do this plan, but it was a real CIA plan that they thought about doing. I've mentioned others like Northwoods. You can go check those out. Northwoods was the 1960s operation to potentially use staged TERROR against Cuba, including all kinds of things that seem to be reminiscent of another Big 9 event that you might have heard of. What does that tell you about the good boys that run our establishment?